Well, good day, Michael here. Today I'm bringing I guess you could call it a review. There's not actually that many reviews of these knives that I'm showing today, but I also want to do a cut test on my rope. So for now I've given up on the lead sinker. Doesn't seem to be doing enough. I'll come back to that. Today I'm just going to do a preliminary test on two new knives. This is the old one, the Kaiser Baby. So I'm testing the Kershaw 1883 and the Ganzo 907. Hope I got that right. Put it up as text if I didn't. So two knives I've received today, and I'll talk a little bit about them and then do a cut test because I don't want this video to be too long, because it takes me forever to upload a 15-minute video. It's ridiculous. I really need to do something about it. It's just so bad and it takes so long. So while that's happening, I'm not going to be uploading long videos where I can help it. Anyway, for today, just to compare them, we have the Kershaw first in a ABS plastic sheath, which works quite well. It did have like a dangler thing hanging off here, which I've quickly changed to something that I can clip on to my pocket. Because the smaller knives, I like to do that. I like to carry in my pocket. And the bigger knives, this is probably as big as what I would want to carry in my pocket. Otherwise, the handle really starts to stick up and there's no point doing that. You might as well just attach it to your belt. So this really is not so much the blade, but the handle size is the really maximum size you'd want to carry in your pocket. This one is perfect. This one has a slightly longer handle and yeah, it's just starting to poke out, but it snaps in there quite well. The only thing with this is when you're pulling it, it does tend to get in your road, so you end up pulling it out like that. But for the convenience of having it hook into my pocket, that's why I go to that. But definitely if I was carrying it on my belt, I'd go back to the original system, which isn't too bad. And what I liked about this is it's a pancake style, so that I have got the option of using these various connection points, which I've done, but I still had to use a cable tie in that position there. I couldn't get the screw in. That's all good. It'll work for me. Everyone has their own ideas on how they want to carry, but yeah, there's no rattle, fits in there quite well, and it should be strong enough. I'll take that one out of the sheath, and I'll take this one out so we can compare sizes. Go this way so you can see. So they're roughly about the same blade length. I'm not going to go into all the dimensions and stuff. You can look that up. It's not a full review. Just having a quick talk about them. Not so quick. And this one here is the Ganzo. And I've put this clip on, but that's not the original case. This is the original case that goes with the Ganzo. And this clip, it'll work, but eventually that is probably going to break. And again, I wanted something that I could carry in my pocket. So with this Ulti clip, I can easily carry that in my pocket. Now this case fits almost perfectly. It's got heaps of retention, no rattle, and it comes out. So this is the actual case to that KHU knife that I've been using, and I thought, I wonder if any of the Kydex will fit, and this one fits quite snug. So I'm going to use that one because I can clip it inside my pocket, and it just looks better than this, you know, tacky plastic. I mean, it works well. It's got a nice drain hole for a cheaper knife, you know, Mora style case. It works well enough. It's got a drain hole there, but really, compared to this Kydex, which I can have attachments to, that's the go. And it looks better as well. So we'll get that out and match him up, and it's pretty close in size as well. And they are roughly 9.8 or so, 9 centimeters. They're all roughly 9 centimeters. The spines, well, the Ganzo is probably the thickest there, and this Kershaw is quite thin. And actually the tip on it is not exactly straight. A little bit of curve, but that will sharpen out. I'm not worried about that. That is definitely a fine point. This knife really is made for scanning. I mean, you could use it for anything within reason, but it's made for skinning, so that you can do a pinch grip. It's got a nice cutout there, and you can easily do a pinch grip and do your skinning. So it is primarily designed for hunting and for skinning. Who knows, maybe one day I'll be into that. What I was interested in this knife was the D2 steel. So I've seen a few Kaisers recently and they've performed quite well on their D2, but not the original factory edge. It seems that the Kershaw, like most of the knives, the Kershaw edge is a little bit burnt. So it's normally the third, fourth sharpening edge where it really starts to perform. But I'm going to test it just on the factory edge. Same with the Ganzo. It's the factory edge that I'm going to be testing today. After I've done 4 or so resharpens on each, I will go back and retest. So those real edges are almost the same, except you've got the big choil for the Kershaw. And the baby's design, which I love because it's just fatter than the others and it's more rounded. It's great in the kitchen, cooking tasks, stuff like that. Handle's a little bit smaller so it fits in the pocket, and it's just a nice knife. What I'm interested though is in the steel of the Ganzo, which is 9cr14mov, which should be pretty close to 440C. And of course Kershaw's D2, and for the baby, which I'm not testing today, it's 154cm. I've been a little bit disappointed in its performance to date. I'll put that one away. So we're just going to do first up cut test back to the rope, just to see how it goes. Edge factory sharpness, who really cares, because you're going to be sharpening it anyway. People go on about this, but really, you will be resharpening it. You'll be changing the profile of it, no doubt. These knives, I'll be putting a 17 degree edge on those pretty soon. But yeah, they're as sharp as I like to have my knives. Pretty good. No dramas there at all. Good enough to test on the paper, that's for sure. So let's hook into that part of it. Remembering that 440C with my cuts, you're on about 40 or so cuts of this rope. It depends on the person cutting, how many, but I will try and keep it all the same. We'll just see how that performs on the factory edge. So I'd hope for around about that much, but on the fourth edge or so, it can get up to 100% more, so it can double in its performance, which is pretty cool. We'll see how it goes, 10 cuts initially, and we'll see what happens with that. Right, there's the first 10 cuts, and most of the cutting was around that position on the blade. And straight away I tend to put a fair bit of pressure on my cuts, so I try and keep that consistent, and it's looking pretty good. The first 10. Yep, no dramas there. Good on you, Kershaw, so far. Chinese D2. Normally I would already be getting a problem with that. Let's go to the Ganzo and do 10 cuts there. About the same position. Alright, just on the ergonomics, those two knives and cutting there, I've got to say, the Ganzo with its thicker handle, it's quite well moulded. Feels great in the hand, bit of jimping there, and it really feels solid on those cuts. Yeah, I can see a little spot of glittering on that edge. Actually, to be fair, I can see a little bit on the Kershaw as well. Yeah, both of them have a little tiny bit of wear, but you're probably not going to notice on the cut. Yeah, pretty good. There's a little slight nick in that, right there where I'm cutting. So because I'm putting so much pressure on the cut, alright, let's do another 10 on each and see how we go. But yeah, there is a little tiny bit of wear. So with my cuts, I'm putting a fair bit of pressure and maintaining a small section where I'm actually using the blade. Obviously, if I'm using longer strokes, you're going to get a lot more cuts, but I'm concentrating on this little section here, pressing hard and doing little cuts. So you can get a great variation just in the way that you go through and cut. And yeah, I'm seeing some glinting now on that edge on 20. Which is probably what I would expect on a new edge. And yeah, it is tearing there now. Right there, where I'm cutting. See, that's where I've been concentrating my cuts. And that's where it's definitely catching. No doubt, and I can see where it is bent on the edge. So it's definitely not going to be a super steel, but that is the factory edge, and I would expect a lot better once I start to sharpen off. So that's now 20 for Ganzo. Let's see, Kershaw, number 10. Righto, so that's 10 for Kershaw, which brings us to 20. There's a couple of small nicks, a little bit of glinting on that edge, so it's definitely having some consequences. Definitely sharper. Yeah. It is tearing there a little bit. But if I angle this, you'd hardly know, but I know that it is catching there a little bit. The more you cut down the grain like that, the more you can feel the edge. But if you keep your knife at an angle, it's a lot easier, especially if you go fast, you can make it look a lot better than what it is. But it's definitely performing better than the Ganzo on 20 cuts. I'm going to do another 10. But it is getting harder to cut also. And I am cutting into that board fairly hard to get through it. And I'm now starting to see after 30 cuts quite a bit more edge damage. And I'm going to show on the baby too, because after 10 cuts, so I can just see where it's catching up now on 30, but it's still cutting pretty good. It is tearing a little bit on that worn edge. And I could safely say, yeah, it's pulling at the hairs. Shaving just, but pulling a fair bit. So it's still a pretty good edge. I'm gonna go another 10, because even though it's worn, it's still slicing pretty well. Let's get it up to that 40 mark. All right, definitely proper D2. And once I've done 4 or so sharpens, it'll perform. Definite glinting now on the 40. But look at that, still, all right, bit of a hang up there, I think. I could keep going on that. But it is hanging up and I can see it, so I'm going to stop at 40 and call it there. Definitely glinting along the edge. So 40, what did I have on this? 20, and I really got to stop on that one. And just to demonstrate with the, honey, just sharpen this, but to demonstrate for the viewers, I dare say after 10 cuts this will be glinting like crazy. So you can see a bit of a chink on the edge already. Oh, gone through all my paper. Okay, just hold on, go get some more paper. I'll be right back. Right, back with my paper. I just got to see, because there was a bit of a patch on that. Right, it's good enough for me to test, just to show the difference if you're new watching these videos. I'm going to show what this 154 cm on the Kaiser does with just 10 cuts. This is quite hard. This rope, it's a very hard nylon. I'm putting pressure on it, so let's just show you what the Kaiser does. Right, it actually got through that pretty well. On 10 cuts. Okay, so hard for a man to have 10 minutes peace and quiet, but we're back. 10 cuts with the Kaiser, and I can see some little nicks on the edge. It'll get to 20, but it's not. It actually cut through that pretty easy, but it is having nicks and stuff. I'm deciding whether I'm going to contact Kaiser and just say that this steel is not up to standard, but then it's probably going to perform the same as the Ganzo in the end. On this rope, 10 more. Now that's 20 all up. I really do like the weight on the knife and cutting across the whole edge. So using this weight, it's really cool because it's the same cut every single time when this is attached and it's hanging off the edge like this. It's the same cut every time. not doing anything different. But when I'm doing this, it's different pressures and different hardness. But the problem with the weight is finding the right thing to cut into. That's the issue. All right, that's 20. Still pretty much the same, I think. Maybe in a little bit extra. Oh yeah, it's really jagging now. To be fair on the Ganzo, see, I can make a cut, make it look good, but when you do a slow cut, you can really see where the hiccups are. So just to show you the difference there, Kaiser 20, Ganzo 20, and Kershaw, oops, Kershaw 40 to be at the same level, 20 and 20. This Ganzo, I've got to say, it does feel good, it feels light. The blade is narrower than the other two. This one's got the obvious choil for pinch grip and skinning, or you can hold it like that, but that is a big choil. It's got two jimpings, one there, one there. So that's outperformed the other two. And it costs a lot more. So that's 120 Australian, around 80, 75 or something, and 50. I'm hoping once I've sharpened this a few times, the Ganzo will perform a lot better. And I'm running out of rope, that's the last of my rope, so I'm going to have to find something to cut into and start all my tests again with the same downwards pressure along the whole edge instead of concentrating on the point. There's too many variables in the rope cutting that I don't like. So there we go. Hope you've enjoyed that, and I would recommend the Ganzo, even though at the moment it's not performing as well as I hoped. Disappointed in the Kaiser, but I love the shape and everything about that knife. This one has the performance, and it's definitely got the profile for hunting, so it should be good. And the grip does feel nice. It's all molded plastic rubber, so it's hard plastic there, and it's rubberized more on there for the grip. So even in wet, slippery, bloody conditions, you should have grip there. There you go. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Bye.